Well, 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 my dears, isn't it poetic justice that Prince Harry seems to be facing the same sort of allegations that he and his spouse have been espousing for the past several years? Bullying, mismanagement, racism, oh dear, misogyny, and this word that I must admit I have not heard before, but it's a wonderful word, isn't it? Misogynoir, I think that was it, wasn't it? Ooh la la, misogynoir, which is misogyny directed towards black women, apparently, specifically. Misogynoir. I absolutely love it. You couldn't make it up, could you? So we're going to look over these very serious allegations in just a moment, then lots of lovely royal news. And before you say anything, you probably already said something. I know. I'm supposed to be assembling my salon, aren't I? I'm forming a new salon to suit my new home. And I'm still on that trajectory. It's going to take me many, many months to get the arrangement here exactly how I wanted. I wanted to bring a more natural feel and just invite you into my home. Then there were sort of sound problems, lighting issues, not the cozy feel that I quite wanted. And at the moment it's sort of half like the old broadcast environment and half my new salon. The fact of the matter is, my dear, I've had to surrender to the fact that this room is going to have to be used as a set for the broadcast. It's just going to be more practical that way. I also rather like the intimate feel of being surrounded by bits and bobs like my books and my accoutrements, this sort of thing. So I'm thinking of, keeping all of this sort of thing around me. Not as you see it today, but it will evolve over the months, you understand, to bring the sort of intimate, cosy feel. This is the trouble in this room. I've had to make all kinds of adjustments already for the acoustics of the room. As I've told you, the ceilings are about 4 meters off the ground. It's a lot more spacious, especially lengthways running towards you, towards the end of the room. A lot more space to fill, and I've had to make adjustments going through. We'll talk about this another time when we're talking about my furnishings, but I can't quite do things here the way that I had wanted to, so it's either moving the broadcast to a different room, which still could happen, or keeping it here and only using it for broadcasting. So I'm just filling you in on what you're seeing at the moment. Might ring a few bells of deja vu, but I will always be bringing in the new as well. Anyway, to the subject at hand, of course, it's the Duke of Hazzard. Harry Hazzard. And this scandal, there has been shock and there's been drama and snot and trana. Harry resigned from his role as patron of Sentebale, didn't he? Sentebale meaning forget-me-not. And this was following a breakdown in relations with its chairman, Dr. Sophie Chandauka. And Dr. Sophie is suing the charity over moves by the trustees, including Harry, to get her to stand down. That's what they've been trying to do, so she says. She has alleged that there are issues of poor governance, weak executive management, abuse of power, bullying, misogyny, misogynoir, and the cover-up that ensued. And as you know, Harry is the co-founder, together with Prince Siso of Lesotho, and Dr. Sophie says that the charity was nothing more than a vanity project for them. This is hugely humiliating for Harry. This is absolutely devastating for him. And before we progress, I want to make the point and make it clear that although it would be fun to disparage Harry, I do not just accept her allegations as fact or as the absolute proof that Harry is guilty of bullying and misogynoir, you understand. The poetic justice I refer to is more to do with the reversey-Percy that we are now witness to. The reversey-Percy that we've been presented with because it was Harry who was toying with all the racist allegations towards his own family, wasn't he, my dears? His own very close family members. And he allowed those rumours to germinate, didn't he, for a very long time. And he had the temerity to back down when he was questioned about it by Tom Bradby. What, me? I didn't say they were racist. I didn't use that word. Really, Harry? You let all of that drama brew up without defending your family, and then you rush in to say, I didn't say they were racist. No, I didn't say it, mate. Well, he then alleged subconscious or unconscious bias and all of that bullshit. And he threw them to the wolves. Let's be clear about it. He threw his family to the wolves. Well, now it seems that he's getting a taste of his own medicine, doesn't it? Karma is a dish that is best served with flower sprinkles, apparently, courtesy of Meghan. And if he's racist at all, by the way, then it's towards white folk. But, I don't know much about this Sophie Chandauka. I do not know much about this girl, whether she's speaking sophistry or whether there is substance behind what she says, because these allegations have actually been denied by other trustees on the board. Trustees of colour, gentlemen of colour, have said they haven't had a whiff of this racism, but this is what she feels. Well, just for a moment, imagining that she might be a little bit of a troublemaker, then wouldn't it be funny if she is playing from the Meganian book of play and using the tactics that Meghan employed, and by osmosis Harry himself? Ooh, the tables are turning, aren't they? And it burns, doesn't it, Harry? It burns, the sense of injustice you must be feeling at being accused of all of these things. And if you are innocent of them, oh, how it must sting and how it must burn, just as it burned for the royal family, your late relatives and your existing ones, and our king and country. But as you will know by now, Harry revealed in a statement that he was truly heartbroken to quit the charity that he co-founded, and in this joint statement he said that he was devastated at the unthinkable breakdown in relations with Sophie Chandauka that had culminated in a High Court claim as the board tried to eject her. And he says that this action was taken, this stepping down, in solidarity with the board, who did the same thing in an attempt to rescue the charity from a potentially huge legal bill that could lead to the charity's demise. This is what it's all about. Money, my dear. Accounts for Sentebale were quite troubling. Towards the end of last year, it became apparent, you see, that they were in crisis, and the team looked inwards apparently to see how they could deal with it and restructure. And it was found that the whole charity had become reliant on set event pieces, the large sort of polo tournament affairs that Harry gets involved in. That's where the money was coming in. But other deals with partners were collapsing, and there were breakdowns of relationships with various funders under the chairmanship of Sophie Chandauka. So there's been all this kind of fiction. It's a very complex chain of events and ructions. And Prince Harry and Prince Seiso followed in the steps of 5 other trustees who had stepped down, including Mark Dyer, the rather dishy red-headed pal of Prince Harry's and the King's, it has to be said, the royal families, who was spoken about extensively in Spare. And it's very sad, This is 20 years in the making, Sentebale. And Sentebale brought purpose and it brought meaning to Prince Harry's life, and especially in the early days he invested so much of his time and energy and love into it. Prince Seiso, of course, the co-founder, is a second son himself, and apparently things came to a head during the restructuring process when it became apparent that under Sophie Chandauka's chairmanship there was a desire to move the fundraising operation from London to South Africa, causing the row and prompting these resignations. She's not taking this, my dear. She responded by claiming that Harry is playing the victim card by resigning, without naming him, of course, but the implication is very clear indeed. Sophie said, "There are people in this world who behave as though they are above the law and mistreat people, and then play the victim card and use the very press they disdain to harm people who have the courage to challenge their conduct. Beneath all the victim narrative and fiction that has been syndicated to press is the story of a woman who dared to blow the whistle about issues of poor governance, weak executive management." Oh, I bet that went down well with little Todge, didn't it, my dear, the alpha beta. Weak executive management, abuse of power, bullying, harassment, misogynoir, and the cover-up that ensued. I could be anyone. I just happen to be an educated woman who understands that the law will guide and protect me. Well, this gal has a sharp mind by all accounts. She was honoured in 2021 with an MBE, actually, for her contribution to diversity in business. Oh dear, she's gone down in my estimation. That's the last thing we need, more diversity. Take it back. Well, when she was named chairman of Sentebale a couple of years later in 2023, she was hailed by Prince Harry for her experience, passion for change and entrepreneurial spirit. And there have been suggestions, including from Rebecca English, who actually visited Prince Harry in Lesotho, I think, regarding the charity years ago, that Sentebale has not been quite at the forefront of Prince Harry's mind in the same way that it was during his years working alongside the royal family when he visited Lesotho last year. That was the first visit in 6 years, actually, over there to where the charity is based. And also it's been noted that he never brought Meghan there, despite his trips to Botswana and other places in Africa with the grand Adamazi, and he, the dear Mahale, as he's been termed by the people of Lesotho that adore him, Mahale and Adamazi, they haven't actually been to Lesotho together, ever. And there had been reminders about the big scandal in 2008 that rocked Sentebale, because at that time £84,000, only 84,000 out of over £1 million that had been raised, had been spent on helping the AIDS orphans that it was created to help. But it just goes to show that it's been a bumpy ride. Leadership hasn't always been exactly on point or up to the standards of, shall we say, Prince William. Big Roger to your little Todger. How does it feel, Harry, to be put in the same position that your brother was put in a few short years ago, where he was heckled by the press? Are you a racist family, William? Are you a racist family? No, we are not a racist family, said William. Now it's your turn, darling. And who could forget that awkward tussle at the polo match between Meghan and Dr. Sophie not too long ago, where she tried to rearrange her and yank away the trophy and put her into place. You stand there, get out the way, get out the limelight and stay in your place. Well, face to face with another woman who will not be silenced and will not be meddled with, my dear. You have met your match, Meghan Markle. I think you've been markled by Dr. Sophie, haven't you? Ooh la la, misogynoir. Meanwhile, at Clarence House, the Queen was joined by the King, the Duchess of Gloucester, and a range of renowned authors and members of the literary community to celebrate the ongoing work of the Queen's Reading Room and its mission to encourage more people to read. It was a star-studded event, my dear. They were all about, the lovies were about. I was so thrilled to see Sigourney Weaver, who I speak to you about often because she's in my favourite movie, Working Girl, isn't she? Sigourney Weaver was having the time of her life and rubbing shoulders with Richard E. Grant and Helena Bonham Carter and Dame Joanna Lumley and Dame Jilly Cooper and Anthony Horowitz and the Chateaus. Lovely to see the Chateaus in tow. And I adored the lush velvety design of the Queen's dress in this dusky blue, or petrol blue, I think it's termed by Sophie Dundas, silk velvet. And the occasion celebrated the launch of the Queen's Reading Room Medal, which is newly designed to recognise individuals who are championing books and storytelling in their local communities. Isn't it wonderful? The Queen's Reading Room has a podcast, as you know, and an annual festival, which goes down well, and it's on a mission to help more people find and connect with books that enrich their lives. The recipient of the first medal is going to be awarded next year, so that's exciting, and in celebration of the 250th anniversary of Jane Austen's birth, a small selection of items relating to the author were displayed for guests to peruse. Queen Camilla also joined celebrations for Charles Dickens Museum House, which opened 100 years ago. The museum at 48 Doughty Street is where Dickens lived in London for a couple of years back in the 1830s, and it's where he finished off the Pickwick Papers, and he wrote Nicholas Nickleby there and Oliver Twist. And it contains the world's most comprehensive collection of Dickens material, with over 100,000 items, well worth a visit if you're here in the kingdom. The Queen was treated to readings from the museum's patrons, Miriam Margolyes and Simon Callow, who read extracts from Dickens' letters. Actually, I'm surprised that Dickens hasn't been totally cancelled by now, but I hear that there are efforts to do just that. So hold on to the books in your collection before they come round burning them, my dear, and all of that greatness along with Shakespeare. The Queen was presented with a geranium plant, which I thought was wonderful and unusual. I enjoyed that, and I like geraniums. Oliver Twist has had the greatest influence on my life. a greater influence than any other relic from the world of art and literature and prose and poetry, even music. And it also shaped the Dickensian perspective that I have on the world, but moreover and especially, and truly and profoundly, on the filthy yet splendid, grotesque and glorious, ugly and very beautiful place called London. Yes, Oliver Twist and I are inextricably linked. 400 local news journalists were entertained by their majesties at a lavish reception at Buckingham Palace to celebrate the work of local media across the kingdom. Oh, you can imagine Prince Harry at that one, can't you, my dear, displaying his umbrage and tottering away his chagrin. Well, as one of the guests noted, print journalism is being phased out. It's been destroyed by digital, which is a great shame. He said, yes, it's interesting. 300 local newspapers closed down over the past 20 years, you know, with many, many, many more, by the way, existing now in a hollowed out format compared to what it was before. The industry has shrunk by 75% in the same time period. And the King gave a stirring statement of support, saying that he has long believed that regional media in all its forms has a unique and vital role to play in society, perhaps even more so in these uncertain times. He said a free media is one that will and does make mistakes, but at its best it is a cornerstone of our democracy. And the Queen was resplendent in a lovely delicious shade of Queen Victoria plum, which I enjoyed seeing in her. I do like seeing in her in colours other than blue and green from time to time. She looked ravishing, and she made small talk with hundreds. It was quite a skill. And at St James's Palace, which is actually where Charles III was proclaimed king, if you remember, king of all he surveys, the 40th anniversary Butler Trust Awards, hosted by the Princess Royal, snuck in a surprise for the assembled guests, and the surprise was the king. There he was, right before them. The royal siblings delighted in one another's company, and Anne has been patron of the Butler Trust since 1985, championing their work to promote excellence in the UK prisons, probation and youth justice. Well, I'm sure they do very good work, and I know that there are plenty of good eggs working within that system, but from what one reads, prisons seem like a bit of a free-for-all for everybody, don't they, my dear? A bit of a utopia for wheelers and dealers, drug dealers, and ducking and diving, all kinds of skiving. You know, it seems that there is a total lack of security and discipline and decent staff who are letting down the many good eggs involved in it, by the way, and the good workers. But how do all of these dealers and ne'er-do-wells, they seem to rule the roost in these places, don't they? And they smuggle in all kinds of contraband and mobile phones all over the place. Like one great big holiday, and the drones manage to smuggle stuff in. I know it's supposed to be a big job to get all this infrastructure in place, but surely, once you've got somebody under lock and key, it shouldn't be that difficult to keep them in order and under the charge of others. But they seem to be taking over and having the upper hand, these criminals, if they're not having sex with the prison officers that are supposed to be chaperoning them. Terrible. By the way, the visit to go and see the Pope's been cancelled, hasn't it? Or I should say postponed for a while by mutual agreement. That visit to the Holy See we were expecting in a couple of weeks. No, the doctors have advised an extended period of rest for the Pope and recuperation after his illness. He's going to remain in isolation during this period of convalescence for at least 2 months at his home at Casa Santa Maria. Sir Stephen Fry has been made Knight Bachelor by the King at Windsor Castle. The honour was presented in recognition of his services to mental health awareness, the environment and charity, and also honoured were the athletes Poppy Maskill, Dina Asher-Smith and Amy Truesdale, all MBEs. Royal Air Force veteran George Kelly is a spry 101 years old, and he was awarded an MBE for his remarkable service. And I noticed a lovely curtsy, a very deep curtsy for His Majesty at Soil, the World at Our Feet, which is an exhibition at Somerset House unearthing the wonder of soil and its unbreakable bond to life and the vital role it plays in the future of planet Earth. The King is patron of the Royal Countryside Fund, and he browsed the interactive displays and projected images and informative instalments. It's the 25th anniversary of Somerset House as we know it at the moment. Of course, it's hundreds of years old, the building and everything, but apparently it's 25 years that it's been used in its capacity as a sort of hub for the arts and creativity. And there's a lovely ice rink there, isn't it? I know it very well, my dear, because I used to work at Shelmex House, just a couple of buildings down from it on Strand, and you go ice skating there at the winter, lovely summery drinks there in the quadrangle and out the back in the summer. Lots of fun there, good for meetings as well. And the King unveiled a plaque to celebrate. It was actually previously used to house the Inland Revenue, and at one time it was the Royal Navy headquarters, and also going back further, it was once a home of Queen Elizabeth I. So how about that? And the Georgian era quadrangle is a large neoclassical building complex built on the site of a Tudor palace once belonging to the Duke of Somerset. The Prince of Wales met the next generation of young farmers and the tenants of his own duchy, including the stars of the TV show Clarkson's Farm. I'm not au fait with this show, I'm not really into Jeremy Clarkson and the like, but it's been revealed that Prince William is going to appear in a forthcoming episode, and this is rather interesting, isn't it? Because of course it was Jeremy Clarkson that disparaged Meghan and insulted her in a column and said that he was dreaming of the day, brace yourself, dreaming of the day when Meghan is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her. Well, he made profound apologies for this because he took a great deal of heat in the press for it, and I can only say that it seems that Prince William accepts the apology because he's going to be working alongside him on his show. So I'm not sure how Meghan Sussex is going to feel about that, or Prince Harry. He will be most affronted, won't he? Isn't that curious? Isn't it curious, the signals being sent? His Royal Highness becomes patron of We Are Farming Minds, who provide training and support for farmers in Herefordshire and beyond. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time, my dears. Ta-ra and toodle pip.